Good morning. Karen went away for just a couple days this week. I had things to do here. Zoe had to work. Maddie was at camp and coming home, so we all stayed, and Maddie went to my mom's, to the beach, which is awesome. And what was less awesome was, as she was leaving, she gave me a honey-do list. You know, she's going off to like lounge on the beach, and then there's the list of things I have to do while she's back. But it wasn't just that, it was, she was checking up on me while she was gone. And it's not that she was definitely sitting on the beach with a cold drink in her hand and her feet in the water, texting me to see if I had done the things that I had said I'd do, but it might have been that. And there was one sort of complicated thing she asked me to do. It had some moving parts to it, and she said, tell me about this, and I said, it's handled, and she said, I want details. So, you didn't need to know that, but I needed to get that off my chest, and I know that you all are here for me. This is a loving congregation. Thank you for listening. But imagine for a moment if Karen had, in her list of things that she wanted me to do, she wanted me to put grass seed around the rectory. And she had given me like a brown paper bag full of grass seed and then checked up while she was sitting at the beach, did you get that done? And I said, yes. And then she came home and she found that I had indeed got seed on the lawn, particularly in the patchy places. But I had also seeded the driveway and the sidewalk and the flagstone path and underneath the bushes. Would I have been greeted with, well done, good and faithful husband? No. Absolutely. See, Karen, you want to speak for yourself here? I mean, take it out of the Morley household for a little bit and just imagine you hired a company, a lawn service company, and they came and they seeded and fertilized your driveway and the sidewalk and under the bushes. I mean, you'd be like, what are these people doing? You probably would not ever hire them again. That is ridiculous. Why do you seed the driveway and the sidewalk? And yet, this parable today, Jesus talks about this sower who's got seed. And he seeds the good soil, the soil that's been tilled, it's been set apart, it's the place where we're growing our food, perfect. But this sower has also seeded the path that people are walking on, and the rocky soil, and back in the corner underneath the thorn bushes. When Jesus gives this parable, he's giving it to a people that were living in an agrarian society. They knew farming like the back of their hand. And it wasn't, farming for them wasn't this cute thing, picturesque with barns and nice soft watercolored pictures around farming and tractors. It was life or death. And being efficient at farming was a matter of life and death. In the ancient world, there is no global food supply chain. You eat what your people grow. You are always only weeks or a month away from drought and famine. And so your efficiency in planting, your efficiency with seed, your efficiency with harvesting mattered. It was life or death. Parables were an ancient form of communication. Jesus is an expert at parables. He's not the only person who teaches in parables in the ancient world. The parable is related to the riddle in the ancient world, where there's almost always something in a parable that would have stuck out, that went against the grain of how the world worked. And it would have either inspired delight or agitation in the crowd. Any parable. This parable, when Jesus is telling it in front of a bunch of people who were farmers and who depended on farming for their life, their family's life, their children's life, when they heard about this sower who was seed happy and who just threw it all over the path and all over the rocky soil and all underneath the thorn bushes, they would not have been happy. There would have been some agitation in the crowd. And yet, in the lines of this parable, the sower seems, at least at first, to be God. That God is sowing the seeds of faith. God is sowing the seeds of the gospel. God is sowing faith, hope, and love. God is sowing love, hope, peace, joy, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control. God is seeding the kingdom. And yet, how good of a farmer does God seem to be here? Not good. Not good. And everyone would have seen that. And God would not have been seen as a good farmer if the most important thing to God were the efficiencies of farming, maximizing the use of the seed and the good arable soil. But apparently, that was not God, the farmer, the sower's first priority. We've all seen, we've all walked through a parking lot in some strip mall or in front of a Walmart or a Target, and you see the crack in the old macadam, and popping out of that crack is like one little flower. You know what I'm talking about? We've all seen this. I mean, can you imagine how many hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of seeds died on that parking lot, and yet that one flower just burst out? It's amazing. It's kind of a miracle. What this parable tells us is that when God sows, he's not going for the efficiency, because those couple of seeds that would have sprouted underneath the thorn bushes, they mattered infinitely to him. That one or two seeds that happened to make it on the rocky soil, they mattered to God. That one maybe seed that made it on the path that wasn't stepped on, it mattered to God. We, in the Gospel of Luke, we get those couple of parables where we see God concerned about the one son who runs off but who comes back, and when he comes back, we throw a party for him. The widow who loses one coin, and she searches her entire house for that one coin. She finds the coin, and she throws a celebration because she found the coin. The shepherd who has 100 sheep and loses one of them, and he goes off and he finds the one, and he comes back, and there is a celebration. God cares about the one. And so when God spreads faith, hope, and love, he doesn't do it carefully or miserly or efficiently. God has a reckless abandon with it. Because everyone matters to him. The minuscule possibility that a little faith might burst over here in that corner of the world or in that corner of the world matters. It's worth it. It's worth just spreading that seed around. There are no throwaway people on God's earth. Everyone is worth it. And that's a good thing to hear when we imagine like the world out there and all, the things that go on and happen, and to know that everyone out there matters. But it also is helpful to remember that in our hearts and in our souls, we aren't just 100% arable, good-tilled soil. We have weeds and rocks in us too. And when faith, hope, and love inexplicably, amazingly bursts forth in us, in you, in me, it matters to God. It's cause for celebration. Of course, this parable begins with, I think, God being the sower. Jesus being the sower, sowing the seeds of the kingdom. But then Jesus lives, he dies, he rises, he ascends, and then who does he empower to be his sowers, his people working in the fields? Who? The disciples, who eventually become us, you. We're the sower. We are the ones now who are sowing faith, hope, and love in the name of God. We are the ones who sow the fruits of the Spirit. We are the ones who sow the seeds of the kingdom on behalf of God. But what do you do with the people who don't deserve it? The people who just clearly aren't up to it? There's no such thing. What do you do with the people that are lost, completely irredeemable? What do we do with those? There's no such thing. Wherever and I know that's hard because there are pockets of our own lives that are hard. There are people in our lives, that we're supposed to love as our neighbor, but they make it really hard to love them, right? People that we just really don't want to be around. People that just make life hard for us. And yet, as a sower, what do we bring? Faith, hope, and love, and the seeds of the kingdom. Maybe, who knows? That one flower will burst forth out of the crack in their heart. And who will it matter to? Infinitely? To God. And so, where are you going to sow this week? To whom are you going to bring faith, hope, and love? Where are you going to bring love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control? Where will you bring the seeds of the kingdom? After you get your chores done. Amen.